Do you want to know how to sew on one of these buttons with a tunnel at the back rather than holes? It's called a shank back button.
Hi, I'm Linda. Shall I show you?
So I've got to stitch it on by hand. I'm starting by sewing a couple of stitches and knotting them in position to secure it, then trimming away that thread tail before I slide on my button. You couldn't get such a pretty look on a button with stitches all over the front of it, and that's why these big decorative buttons are usually made like this. I'm just passing the needle through the tunnel, then making a small stitch underneath the button before coming back to go through. If your button's going to have a little bit more wear and tear and use to it, what you might want to do is to do a little side stitch once you've gone through the tunnel and then go back through the opposite way, and that will spread the load on the fabric better. So that way you're almost sewing like a figure of 8 as you go through the button and back. But this way's fine for smaller buttons and those that aren't going to have a lot of pull on them. The more times you stitch and then pass the thread back through, the more sturdy it'll be. If you're using your button with a buttonhole, then do keep in mind that the chunky thickness of this kind of button usually needs a slightly bigger buttonhole than a flat, regular kind of button. So you might want to check on some scrap fabric what size buttonhole you need to sew for the button to be able to pass through okay. If you're using yours with heavy fabric like a coat, I find it's best to use polyester or extra strong thread with it. When I'm sewing on shank-style buttons, I like to finish them off by looping the thread all the way around the button and pulling the needle through the fabric and back on itself to knot it a couple of times. That way, all the thread ends that are holding the button in place are wrapped up, so the individual strands are less likely to get rubbed and frayed, so that button won't be pulled off as easily. I've got my thread doubled up as I'm sewing this, so I can add double the thread strength into every stitch. That makes it quicker to sew and also super sturdy. Keeping those stitches close to the tunnel underneath the fabric helps the button to stay where I want it to be, and this leaves less exposed threads that can be damaged with wear and tear too. But if you're popping your button onto a lightweight fabric, you might need to support the button a bit more by adding some interface into the fabric, or you can even add a little regular button on the back of the fabric and then sew through both of those buttons at once. A quick snip at the end and it's done!
Easier than you thought, right?
I think the extra time hand sewing a decorative button makes it more of a feature than just a closure. Don't you think this pretty flower button really adds a bit more pop to it all?
I hope you'll join me again soon. Bye now.